The sharp scent of antiseptic filled the scrub sink area, clinging to your skin, your hair, your breath. You stood silently at the stainless steel sink, washing your hands with slow, careful movements. The warm water flowed steadily over your fingers as you scrubbed every inch with focus, even though the surgery you'd just completed wasn't complicated. Beside you, Jungkook stood doing the same, one of the youngest senior surgeons in the hospital and someone who had always felt distant. It was just the two of you in this quiet corner of the hospital. The gentle sound of running water was the only thing breaking the silence between you. You scrubbed your hands slowly, more slowly than usual, not really wanting to leave. It seemed like Jungkook was doing the same. Neither of you looked directly at the other. Jungkook, you did well, Yin. Really well. You're improving. His eyes flicked to you from the corner of his vision, too shy to turn his head fully. Your head turned slightly to look at him. Your lips curled into a small, grateful smile. Yin, thank you. Thank you so much. Jungkook. His fingers froze for just a second at the sound of his name on your lips. It had been a long time since he'd heard you say it, maybe never this gently. You saw a slight change in his expression. He was trying to keep it subtle, but you noticed it anyway. It had only been a few weeks since you returned to this hospital as a nurse. You'd seen him before during your internship days, but back in med school, he was a senior in another department, older, more advanced, more unreachable. You'd never really gotten to know him, just exchanged a few words, a few smiles maybe. But for Jungkook, it had been different. The first time he saw you in the college library years ago, something had shifted inside him, quietly, permanently. He never acted on it. He was too focused on his studies, too buried in surgeries, too unsure if you'd even remember him. But you did, and you were here now, standing beside him, saying his name, Jungkook. I hope you're not feeling too much pressure. It's your first week, right? If you ever need help or guidance, I'm always around. Don't hesitate, all right? You nodded gently, feeling a mix of gratitude and awkward warmth rush through you. The kindness in his voice made something flutter quietly in your stomach. But then you noticed, he was struggling to untie the back knot of his surgical scrub. His hands tried reaching it awkwardly, but failed. Without thinking, your hands reached out. Yin, wait, let me help. Before he could react, your fingers were already brushing against his back, finding the knot with practiced ease. The moment your hands touched him, even through the thin fabric of his scrubs, he froze. Jungkook's entire body tensed, his breath caught. You didn't notice how your fingers lightly grazed his back, but he did. Every tiny touch felt like fire crawling down his spine. His hands clenched into tight fists in front of him, jaw locking, trying to hide just how nervous he suddenly felt. He didn't move, didn't breathe. He was scared even a slight reaction would make you pull away. You, on the other hand, were too focused on the knot, trying not to tremble as your fingers worked gently. Yin, done. You smiled softly as you pulled your hands back, watching his reaction. Jungkook returned the smile, but it looked tight, shy, almost nervous. His ears were red, and his eyes immediately flicked away from yours. Jungkook, thank you. His voice was barely a whisper, like it took effort to even say that much. You nodded politely, unsure what else to say or do in that moment, so you bowed gently toward him. Yin, I'll get going then. You turned to leave, wiping your damp hands on a clean towel. Jungkook stayed behind, and the moment you stepped out into the hallway, you heard soft footsteps following behind. Sure enough, when you glanced back, he was there, quietly walking a few steps behind you. Your heart fluttered just a little at how he seemed to be following without even realizing it. But before you could fully process it, a familiar voice called out in the hallway ahead. Dr. Kiro. I'm so glad I caught you both. You turned around and saw Dr. Kiro approaching with a bright, excited smile. His presence was always energetic, but this time, he looked especially cheerful. You smiled back at him, and Jungkook stopped just beside you, his hands now in the pockets of his coat. Dr. Kiro, I was just about to call you two. I'm actually really glad you're both here. Jungkook, why? Is everything all right, Dr. Kiro? Jungkook's voice was calm, but curious. You both glanced at each other for a moment before turning your attention back to the senior doctor. Dr. Kiro, yes, everything's fine. Actually, better than fine. He let out a laugh and clapped his hands once. It's mine and my wife's 3rd anniversary today. We're hosting a little celebration at a hotel tonight. Your eyes widened in surprise. A genuine smile tugged at your lips before you could even speak. But Jungkook stepped forward first, pulling Dr. Kiro into a friendly half hug. Jungkook, congratulations, Dr. Kiro, that's amazing. You joined in with a bright voice. Yin, wow, congratulations. That's such beautiful news. I'd love to come and celebrate with you both. Jungkook, yeah, he added quietly, glancing at you briefly before continuing. I'll come too. Dr. Kiro gave you both a warm, satisfied smile. Dr. Kiro, perfect. I'll text you the address. It starts at PM, don't be late. And just like that, he walked away, still humming to himself in excitement. You turned slightly, ready to head in a different direction, when Jungkook's voice gently stopped you. Jungkook, would you like me to pick you up? You blinked, caught slightly off guard. His tone was soft, almost unsure, but hopeful. He looked at you from the corner of his eyes again, like he was trying not to come off too eager. Jungkook, just a thought. That way, we'll arrive on time, together. There was a quiet beat of hesitation. The idea of riding together sounded simple enough, but something about the way he asked, the way he looked like he wanted you there, not just as a colleague, made your heart flutter. You smiled softly, nodding. Yin, yeah sure, I'll be ready by 5:30. His expression instantly lit up, his shoulders relaxing as a subtle but unmistakable smile tugged at his lips, a smile that felt real this time. Jungkook, all right then, I'll see you later. He gave you a small bow, his voice holding something gentle and warm. As he walked away, you stood there for a second longer, your chest still light, your fingers slightly curled in your pockets, already looking forward to 5:30. Jimin, I really want to leave early today. He let out a sigh, his voice low and tired as he handed you a cold cup of coffee. The other hand casually slid around your shoulders, pulling you slightly closer as you both walked side by side down the quiet hospital corridor. Your shoes clicked lightly against the marble floor as you sipped the chilled coffee. You were on your way to your older brother Namjoon's cabin, bringing him his favorite iced hazelnut latte. He was strict about his caffeine preferences. You tilted your head up to look at Jimin, your lips still on the straw. Yin, any patients left? You asked, your voice soft, curious. Jimin nodded with a half-defeated expression. Jimin, yeah, the last few appointments are after 6. You hummed in response, your lips curving into a small smile as you glanced down at the schedule on your phone, and the time you are about to spend with Jungkook. Yin, well, I've finished all my work today. We've got a party after 6. One of our senior doctors is celebrating his anniversary. He nodded, as still a little tired but comforted by your presence. You both belonged to different departments. Jimin and Namjoon were cardiothoracic surgeons, while you were a neuro nurse, assisting the neurosurgeons. Your days rarely crossed paths, except during short coffee breaks or shared walks like these. And even though you barely knew people from each other's departments, somehow, you and Jimin managed to cross paths. But what you didn't realize was that someone was watching. Jungkook stood frozen at the top of the stairs. He had been on his way down, holding a file in his hand when his eyes accidentally landed on you. And then, they stayed. His entire body stiffened, eyes narrowing slightly as he saw you walking beside someone, laughing softly, your head tilted toward him while his hand stayed possessively around your shoulder. The way you both looked so close, like you belonged to each other. Something inside Jungkook twisted violently. He had always known you were friendly with some doctors from cardiology, but he never imagined this. Never imagined you'd be that close, walking so openly like you were already his. It didn't look like a harmless friendship. It looked like a relationship, a real one. And why wouldn't it be? Because he never asked. He had always admired you, silently, from across the operating room, from the break room. It's not like you were taken in his eyes. There was no label, no claim, no commitment. And suddenly, that realization felt like a punch to his gut. He had no right to feel this way. No right to be angry, no right to be jealous. Because he never confessed, never said a word. He had swallowed his feelings for so long, trying to stay professional, trying to stay focused. And now, watching you with someone else, it hit him all at once. He was too late, his fists clenched tightly at his sides, his jaw locked, his throat felt dry, his chest tight as something bitter started to rise. He looked away. He couldn't bear to see anymore. His feet hurried down the stairs, forcing himself to look anywhere but back at you. He didn't want to see the warmth in your eyes when you looked at Jimin, didn't want to imagine if your heart already belonged to someone else. Still, no matter how much it hurt, he had a duty to do. He had to pick you up for the party that evening, just like he promised, even if his heart ached, even if it killed him inside to watch you love someone else, because you you were still the one he admired, the one he wanted, the one he lost without even trying, the one he was in love with. The slightly loud music hummed through the hall, blending with the sound of glasses clinking, low laughter, and scattered conversations. The party was already in full swing. Dim, warm lights covered the elegant hotel venue, giving it a cozy yet celebratory feel. You stood quietly in a corner, surrounded by a small group of female nurses and young doctors. You were smiling, nodding along, trying your best to blend in and enjoy the moment, but your heart wasn't in it. Not really. Your mind wasn't on the jokes or stories your colleagues were sharing. It wasn't on the taste of the mocktail in your hand or the beat of the music. No, it was somewhere else, or rather, with someone else. Jeon Jungkook. Since the moment he had picked you up from your house earlier this evening, something had felt off. He hadn't done anything specifically wrong, and to anyone else, he looked as calm and charming as ever. But you noticed it, the way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes, the way he avoided holding eye contact for too long, or how his laugh felt a little forced. And the moment you both had entered the party, he had gently excused himself and walked to the bar counter just after the cake-cutting ceremony. Never looking back, he was avoiding you, and you didn't know why. But the way your chest tightened every time you looked at him made it impossible to ignore. Your eyes flickered toward the bar again automatically. There he was, leaning slightly forward on the stool, a glass of something strong in his hand, surrounded by a few senior doctors and unfamiliar faces. His jaw was tight, his lips pressed in a thin line. He looked good in his black button-up and slightly messy hair, but he didn't look like himself. He looked tense, distant, like he was forcing himself to be here. You bit your bottom lip, hard. Something about seeing him like that, alone and drinking more than usual, bothered you deeply. You could feel your body itch to move, to walk toward him. Yin. Hey, Sophie, what do you think about heading to the bar section now? Your friend, who had been animatedly talking about some new doctor in her department, instantly turned her attention to you, her face lighting up. Sophie, ooh, finally. I've been dying to have a drink, and we should definitely go say hi to some of the seniors. Maybe flirt a little? She winked at you playfully, nudging your arm. You gave her a small laugh, but your gaze was already drifting back toward Jungkook, who had now downed his drink and was reaching for another. Without wasting another second, you both made your way through the crowd, heels clicking softly on the marble floor as you approached the bar. The closer you got, the louder your heart thumped. Before you could even breathe a word, Sophie's naturally cheerful energy filled the space. Sophie, Dr. Park, long time no see. You look great. The group turned toward her with smiles and greetings, welcoming her like an old friend. Meanwhile, you hesitated just behind her, not quite knowing what to say. Your hand clutched your clutch bag tightly as you looked up and realized you were standing directly beside him, Jungkook. He was seated on the high stool, elbows resting on the counter, his glass halfway to his lips, until he noticed you. The moment your presence hit him, his body tensed slightly, his hand paused midair, and then, slowly, his face turned toward you. His eyes landed on yours, and you felt the air leave your lungs. He looked surprised, really surprised. His lips parted a little, and his eyes widened, the drink in his hand forgotten for a second. It was clear he hadn't expected to see you here. Not this close. Trying to act casual, you signaled the bartender and ordered the same drink Jungkook had been sipping. When the bartender placed the glass in front of you, you lifted it, took a slow sip, and finally turned toward him with a quiet smile. Yin. Hey, Jungkook. Your voice was soft, almost lost under the music, but it was enough. He blinked, then mirrored your movement, taking a sip from his own drink. But his eyes, they never left yours. His gaze wasn't cold, it wasn't exactly warm, either. He didn't respond directly. His stare was intense. So much was hidden behind it. Anger, jealousy, pain. Like he wanted to ask you something but didn't know how. Like he was trying to read the truth in your face. You swallowed hard. Yin, you've been drinking a lot tonight. His jaw clenched slightly. Jungkook. Yeah, one word. Heavy and cold. You held the glass tighter in your hand. Yin. Did something happen? He didn't answer. He just stared at you, like the question hurt more than it should have, like the answer wasn't simple. And then his eyes dropped to your lips, your hand holding the glass, then back to your eyes. Jungkook, did you enjoy talking to him? Your heart stopped. You froze, blinking, slowly, stunned by the question. His voice was calm, but there was so much burning underneath it. He turned toward you more fully now, no longer hiding it. Yin, what? What are you? Your voice trembled, barely escaping your lips. His eyes, those deep, dark eyes, were locked onto you like they were burning holes through your soul. But before anything more could be said, a voice cut between you. Dr. Kiro. Jungkook. You flinched slightly, startled by the sudden voice, but Jungkook's whole attention was still on you. Dr. Kiro. Here. This is your room key. Don't even think about driving, man. You've been drinking non-stop. Kiro pushed the small key into Jungkook's jacket pocket, concern all over his face. Yin, please, take care of him. Yeah, he's not himself tonight. You nodded slowly, watching as Kiro gave Jungkook one last worried look before disappearing into the crowd. Around you, the party was winding down. Your heart clenched at those words. Drinking non-stop? That wasn't like him. Around you, people were moving toward the dinner tables. Some were already leaving with coats over their arms and smiles on their faces. But you couldn't even smile. Your eyes stayed fixed on Jungkook. You turned back to Jungkook just in time to see him trying to push himself up from the bar stool. He wobbled, one hand on the counter, the other reaching for balance. Jungkook, I'm sorry. I can't drive right now. His voice was hoarse, apologetic. He looked at you as if it was his responsibility to get you home, as if he had failed you somehow. But you hadn't even thought about that. Let me book a cab for you. He fumbled for his phone, his fingers sluggish, his shoulders were hunched forward, like he was shrinking in on himself. You stepped closer without hesitation and gently placed your hand on his arm. Yin, no Jungkook, you were saying something earlier. Tell me, what was it? What do you mean by that? He froze under your touch, his muscles tensed. For a second, it felt like he wanted to lean into you. But instead, he did the opposite. He stepped back, not rudely, but enough to make your hand fall away. Jungkook, it doesn't matter, Yin, he murmured, eyes fixed somewhere on the floor. Just go home safely. That's all I want. Your throat tightened painfully. It did matter. It mattered because he was hurting and he wouldn't let you in. It mattered because you had felt something and spoken in his gaze just moments ago. And now, he was retreating again, shutting himself off. You watched him sway slightly on his feet. He wasn't okay. He wouldn't even make it down the hall to his room in this state. Yin, hey, at least let me help. You reached out again, more firm this time, your hand curling around his forearm. Jungkook, I'm fine. He weakly tried to shrug you off, but he could barely even keep his balance. Frustration, hurt, and worry churned inside you all at once. Yin, why are you doing this? Jungkook, you whispered, your voice breaking. Why are you pushing me away like this? Did I do something? Just tell me, please. He looked at you, really looked at you this time. His expression twisted like he was torn between wanting to hold you and wanting to disappear completely. His heart screamed to pull you into him, but his mind kept whispering, she belongs to someone else. He couldn't understand why you still cared, why your eyes still looked at him with that softness, even when you had another man waiting in your life. Yin, I'm just helping you, you said, your tone a mix of desperation and sadness. Can't I even do that? What is wrong with you suddenly? This time, he didn't resist. He simply let out a breath, shaky, long, and looked away, jaw clenched hard. And when you gently wrapped his arm over your shoulder, he let you. Your arm went around his waist as you guided him slowly out of the bar. His body leaned heavily into yours. He wasn't saying a word, but you could feel how warm he was, how tense, how quiet his pain had become. The hallway outside the bar was dim, with soft yellow lights glowing overhead. Your footsteps echoed gently against the polished marble floors as you led him toward the elevator. Every few seconds, you looked up at him, waiting for him to say something. But he didn't. He just kept walking beside you like a ghost trapped in his own body. His breathing was slow, his expression unreadable. But when the elevator doors slid open and you stepped inside with him still leaning into you, you realized something terrifying. He wasn't drunk, he was broken, and no one had noticed. Your body was starting to feel heavier with every step, not because you were tired, but because Jungkook was leaning on you more and more. His full weight seemed to rest on you now, his arm hanging lazily over your shoulder as if you were the only thing keeping him standing. Yin, Jungkook, just a few more minutes. Hold yourself up, okay? You spoke softly, almost coaxing him, as your eyes searched the hallway for the room number on the small key in your hand. You finally spotted it. His room was just a few steps away, but the moment you tried to take him closer, you realized something. His weight on you wasn't just from weakness anymore. It was intentional, it was deliberate. Before you could even react, it happened. In a quick, almost dizzying movement, Jungkook spun you around and pressed you back against the wall beside his door. The cold surface shocked your skin through your dress, making your breath hitch. Yin, Young, Jungkook, hey. Your voice trembled, your hands instinctively trying to push at his chest, but he didn't move away. His face was different now, not just drunk. He looked angry, hurt, vulnerably hurt, like something inside him had snapped. His hand slid up, one brushing against your ribs, the other already sneaking beneath the hem of your top. Hey, Jungkook, get a grip. You blinked rapidly, trying to ground yourself, but it was impossible when his head dipped into the side of your neck, his warm breath washing over your ear and jaw. His cheek, lips, and the edge of his nose grazed your skin, making your whole body tighten. Jungkook, I hate feeling like this. His voice was soft, rough, and dangerously close. Your eyes fluttered shut on their own as his chest pressed into yours, closing every last bit of space between you. It felt wrong, too close, too intense, but you couldn't push him away. Not when you felt that same pull toward him. His lips brushed against the side of your neck, slow, lingering, almost like he was tasting the moment. Jungkook, I want to love you, please. The plea in his voice made your heart clench painfully. Your hands had somehow found their way around his waist, holding him for balance. But when his lips began trailing lower, wet and warm against your skin, your knees nearly gave out. Yin, do you even hear yourself? We're drunk, Jungkook. You tried to reason, but even to your own ears, your voice didn't sound convincing. The fire in your body was spreading, consuming you fast. His mouth moved up toward the underside of your chin, and your head fell back against the wall, your breath shaky and shallow. Jungkook, I love you, Yin. He stopped just short of your lips, his breathing unsteady, his lips almost touching yours. His confession hung between you. Without thinking, your hand slid up to cup his jaw, forcing his eyes to meet yours. Yin, you'll regret saying this in the morning. We'll regret doing this in the morning. But he wasn't listening to your words anymore. His gaze was fixed on your lips, watching the way they moved, the way each word shaped them. Your heart skipped a beat. You gripped his collar, tilting his head up, desperate to hold his eyes on yours because your own mind was starting to spiral out of control. Jungkook, please Yin, I won't. And that was it, the last straw of your patience. You didn't answer him with words, you couldn't, but the pounding in your chest told you everything you needed to know. You liked him too, and in that moment that was enough. You crashed your lips onto his, hard. The kiss was messy, desperate, and warm. His lips, already damp from kissing your neck, molded against yours instantly. A deep, satisfied hum escaped his throat as his arms snaked firmly around your waist, pulling you flush against him until you could feel the steady rise and fall of his chest. His other hand slid under, lifting it high around his waist. His mouth, feeling the slit of your long dress even more. His lips broke from yours only to trail feverishly down to your collarbone, his grazing your skin. Jungkook, you're so addicting. His voice was hoarse, almost like he was talking to himself. Without warning, his other hand hooked under your lifting you fully, your legs wrapped instinctively around his waist as he carried you the last few steps to the door. The key clinked faintly as it hit the lock, and in one smooth push, you were inside. The door clicked shut behind you, sealing the heat, the closeness, and the danger inside with you both. The morning light crept into the room like it was afraid to disturb you. Soft golden rays slipped through the half-drawn curtains, spilling across the messy sheets and pooling over your skin, making it glow with a faint shimmer, like polished pearl underwater. Even though the blanket was pulled up all the way to your neck, the shape of your body was clear beneath it, your bare shoulders peeking out just enough to hint at what was hidden. Jungkook was right beside you, close enough that his breath fanned against your temple in slow, steady waves. His thick bicep was hooked lazily over your collarbone, holding you in place as if you were something precious he was afraid to let go of in his sleep. His fingers were tangled in your hair, knotted at the roots, his palm resting against the side of your head like he'd fallen asleep mid-caress. From under the blanket, his leg was draped over your waist, heavy and warm, pinning you against him. He looked like someone who had no intention of moving. The sunlight pushed further into the room, a bright stripe cutting across his face. He squinted, his brows pulling together in slight irritation. A low hum rumbled from his chest as he shifted, trying to bury himself deeper into the softness beside him. But the softness wasn't a pillow, it was you. His body tensed for half a second, but he ignored it, letting his face nuzzle into the warm curve of your neck. Then reality hit him. His eyes opened, fully, for one brief, terrifying moment. He stayed frozen, scanning the scene without moving his head. His arm around you, his leg tangled with yours, the heat of your skin under his touch. And then, the sudden, sharp awareness of bare skin against bare skin. His heart slammed against his ribs, his breath caught in his throat. Jungkook, no, 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 no. The words slipped out, barely more than a whisper at first, but they kept coming, faster, harsher. He jerked his arm back like he'd been burned, untangling himself from you as quickly as he could without waking you. The blanket dipped with the loss of his weight. That's when his eyes dropped, and his stomach turned. He was naked, completely. He cursed under his breath, shoving the blanket higher to make sure you were fully covered. His movements were frantic, almost clumsy, as he crouched to the floor, grabbing at the clothes scattered everywhere like pieces of a crime scene he needed to clean up before anyone found out. His own shirt was inside out, his pants crumpled. He dragged them on quickly, his breathing uneven. Jungkook, shit, what the hell have I done? The words tumbled out like he was choking on them. What's wrong with me? Why did I? His voice cracked. He ran a hand over his face, pressing his palm hard against his eyes as if he could erase the memory. But it clung to him. Flashes of last night hit him in sharp, disjointed images, your lips trembling under his, the way you'd looked at him, the way he'd begged you, the hunger in his voice, the need in his hands. His stomach twisted, but not from regret for touching you. The guilt came from somewhere deeper, the bitter reminder that you were already someone else's. He swallowed hard, forcing down the bile in his throat, but before he could steady himself, he heard it, a soft, sleepy sigh, the rustle of sheets. You shifted under the blanket, your head tilting as your lashes fluttered open slowly, fighting the light. His entire body went rigid. His first instinct was to run, get out before you saw him, but the thought of leaving you to wake up alone like this made his chest ache. No, he couldn't run. He had to face you, explain, even if it destroyed everything. He moved quickly, scooping your clothes from where they lay draped over the chair, half on the carpet. You sat up suddenly, clutching the blanket to your chest, your eyes still hazy with sleep, but sharp with confusion. The moment they landed on him, Jungkook froze, his shoulders tense, the clothes still in his hands. Slowly, he stepped forward, placing them at the edge of the bed. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed, his voice low, tight and trembling. Jungkook, Yin. His voice cracked like he was choking on his own words. You blinked up at him, still half asleep, your mind slow to catch up. But his face looked anything but warm. Panic lived in his eyes. His shoulders were tense, hands fidgeting like he didn't know where to put them. Your brows knit together. Yin. Jungkook. And just hearing his name, soft, unsure, seemed to shatter whatever fragile control he had. Jungkook. I'm sorry, Yin. He rushed out, his voice trembling. I'm so sorry. This shouldn't have happened. Please, don't hate yourself for it. Don't hate me for it either. His throat bobbed as he swallowed. I'm really sorry. You stayed still, your heartbeat pounding in your ears, waiting, hoping for him to say something else, something different. Instead, he took a deep, shaky breath and leaned forward until he was kneeling on the floor beside you. He looked up at you like he was begging for forgiveness. Jungkook, please, he whispered. Let's just forget it ever happened. The words slammed into you like a punch to the chest. You could feel it, your heart breaking, slow and sharp, like glass cracking inside you. Your vision blurred for a second, not from sleep, but from the tears threatening to spill. Last night, you told him he'd regret it in the morning, and here it was, regret, clear as day, right on his lips. Yin, do you really want to forget this? You asked, your voice low but tight, your fingers curling into the blanket like it was the only thing holding you together. His gaze dropped to the floor, shame washing over his face. Jungkook, what other choice do we have? His voice grew harder, like he was trying to push the blame away from himself. Jungkook, I'm so sorry, Yin. You should have stopped me, Yin. You should have pushed me away, slapped me, kicked me out, left me to deal with my drunk self. How are we even going to explain this to your Yin? Get out. The cold edge in your tone made his head snap up, his eyes widened. searching your face as if he hadn't heard you right. Jungkook, Yin, I'm sorry Yin, I said get out of this room. Jungkook, your voice cracked at the end, but you forced yourself to keep your face hard. You wouldn't, let him see you break. Just please, you whispered, the words trembling. Leave me alone. He didn't move at first, his lips parted like he wanted to argue, to fix it somehow, but all that came out was, Jungkook, I can't leave you like this. And then your phone rang. The shrill sound cut through the heavy silence, making you both glance toward the nightstand. The name flashing on the screen was male. Something in his face shifted. Hurt, anger, maybe even jealousy. But he didn't speak on it. His jaw tightened as he forced the words out. Jungkook, you should answer that. I'll go. You bit down on your lip, hard. This wasn't him. Not the Jungkook who had looked at you last night like you were his everything. This man looked like a stranger carrying guilt instead of love, and when he finally stood up and walked toward the door, it felt like the air in the room went with him. The moment the door closed, your chest caved in, a sob tore out of you, sudden and raw, shaking your whole body. It hurt to breathe, hurt to think about the night before. You lay back down, curling on your side, pulling the blanket up over your head like it could hide you from the truth, your face pressed into the pillow, muffling the sound as you cried, deep, broken cries that felt like they would never stop. The warmth from last night was gone. All that was left was the hollow ache in your chest. But you knew you couldn't ignore your brother's call forever. Sniffling, you wiped under your eyes with shaky fingers and swallowed hard, forcing your voice not to sound as broken as you felt. You reached for your phone and pressed the answer button. Yin, where are you? You didn't come home last night. Namjoon's voice came through. Immediately, firm but laced with worry. Before you could answer, another voice followed, louder, impatient. Jaemin, where are you? Tell me right now. I'm coming to pick you up. Your throat tightened. You knew they had the phone on speaker. Yin, I just drank a little too much, you said slowly, trying to sound casual. So I stayed in the hotel room Dr. Kiro booked. I'll send you the location. You should have called last night, Yin. Namjoon scolded softly. Yin, I'm sorry, okay? I was just drinking. You cut in, your voice carrying a hint of irritation. You weren't in the mood to be lectured right now. The short silence on the other end told you they got the message. All right, Jaemin said finally, his tone gentler. It's okay. I'll be on my way to get you then. Yin, yeah, you mumbled before ending the call. You tossed the phone onto the bed after sending your live location. Rubbing your eyes, you exhaled shakily. This was already the worst day of your life, and it had barely begun. Dragging yourself up, you felt exhaustion sink into every bone. You pulled your clothes back on, your movements slow, heavy. You didn't want your brother to see any hint of how broken you felt, so you dabbed on light makeup, just enough to hide the redness in your eyes. When you finally opened the door to leave the hotel room, you didn't notice the quiet figure at the far end of the hallway. Jungkook was there, at the far end of the hallway. He was standing silently, leaning against the wall. He'd been there for a while waiting, making sure you left safely. His eyes followed you as you walked, every step a reminder of the distance that had grown between you. His chest burned, knowing how close he had come to destroying your relationship. And the worst part was, he couldn't convince himself that you were the villain in any of this. You reached the lift and pressed the button. He didn't follow. Instead, he turned toward the stairwell, taking the steps quickly so he could be ahead of you by the time you reached the ground floor. By the time you stepped outside the hotel entrance, Jungkook was already hidden off to the side, and then he saw it. The man, the same doctor who had been with you yesterday at the hospital. He was standing by a sleek black car, opening the passenger door for you with a small, knowing smile. His posture was casual, but the gesture, it was intimate enough to make Jungkook's stomach twist. The world seemed to tilt for him in that instant. Jungkook's breath caught. His hand rose to cover his mouth as a tremor went through him. He bit back the sob that wanted to escape. The weight in his chest was unbearable, part heartbreak, part guilt, part something he didn't dare name. He watched you walk toward the man without hesitation, slide into the passenger seat, and let the door close. In that moment, the truth hit him hard. You were never meant to be his. Not now, not ever. And today was probably the last time he'd ever speak to you. The fragile thread of friendship you both had was already frayed. Now it was completely severed. He stayed there, unmoving. As the car moved away, he didn't call out. He didn't try to stop you, because some things were already too broken to fix.